Hey everybody, Grace here. Welcome to another video. I want to apologize real quick for the quality of the mic on this. I don't have my normal setup with me today. But I want to look at a deck that I have been cooking up that I think is quite powerful. That I want to talk a little bit about the strategy behind, and then we can look at some replays. So if you're looking for something fun to play that is pretty good in my opinion, look no further than this. Let's get into it. So this is basically flip warriors with a lot of emphasis on the flip. We've seen Flip Warriors do well. We've seen Ludovico Rizzo, not so fast, Rabid, and there's others that have, won tournaments using kind of flip variants of Warriors. Now, there's pros and cons to different versions of Warriors. I think the flip version, it's pros. You get to resolve these powerful flips, but the cons are often main deck, mind cons, and knocks from your opponents. In games one can be a bit tricky to deal with. But at the same time, one thing that people don't realize about Flip Warriors, why it can be really good, is with cards like the Koichi, you have a lot more ways to protect it via triple Solemn Judgment, via Sakuretsu Armors and Battle Traps. And so very often these will stick around for a turn or two, and if you can flip them and then get a card and then use it as a beater in its own right, I mean 1400 is nothing to scoff at. And typically against Chaos Turbo, they don't have that many monsters that beat over 1400 outside of like Tribe and Breaker and their Chaos monsters. So very often you can start beating in for some damage with this, and sometimes they're even forced to like answer it with a Battle Trap or something. And at that point, this card has already done more than its fair share of work and helped you go Mega Plus. So that's one of the cool things about Flip Warriors. You have a lot of ways to protect your flips. So I wanted to take that idea and kind of take it to the next level by running a lot of flips and by running double Tsukiyomi to try to set up these Tsukiyomi loops backed by a triple Solemn Judgment. That's one of the things I think is kind of cool about this strategy, is that a lot of these, one or two card combos with Tsukiyomi and any of these flips can be protected by Solemn, which is really nice because it allows you to make sure that your loop goes through and you start recycling your cards and gaining card advantage. Really, the whole way this deck works is you do the normal warrior stuff, and that you're looking for easy trades, right? If you see your opponent sets a monster and they don't have a spell or trap to protect it, you can go Mystic Swordsman level 2 or whatever you feel like you need to do. So you can make those simple, efficient trades that warriors do. But at the same time, you can also set up these kind of complicated game states with a lot of these flips and loop them with Tsukiyomi and gain card advantage slowly but surely. And then as you see more opportunities to take those nice trades, you can do it. I do feel like this deck is a bit harder to pilot than like standard warriors, in my opinion. Now, some people can pick up a deck like this and just instantly play it to a pretty high level, but for me, I need a lot of practice on different strategies before I do well with it. So I also think there's some cool synergies between kind of what we're trying to do with this flip stuff and the warrior engine themselves. Like I said, specifically, you can back a lot of this up by Solemn, which is not typical in a deck that is trying to like abuse Tsukiyomi loops and stuff like that. So it kind of can make sure that your plays can go through. As well, like I said, also the Sakuretsu armors to protect your flips so that they can become bodies on board. But also cards like Call the Haunted and Premature Burial, cards that are typically great in warriors because you can, you're not doing a ton of normal special summoning, but they allow you to recycle your exile. They allow you to bring back these key warrior monsters at the right time, do what you need to do. But you can also use them to bring back flips that you can then set back face down with Tsukiyomi and continue kind of abusing the flip monsters in the game. So I think there's some cool synergies here, and really, like I said, the goal of this is to gain advantage through the flips, and then whenever you see opportunities to use the warriors to take those efficient trades, then you do so. And so that's kind of the idea of it. Is there anything else I want to add? I know Mask of Darkness is a bit of a weird card, kind of polarizing. Some people say this card's trash. Some people say it's good. I think in a deck that runs triple Solemns, it can be pretty good. Especially late game and opportunities where you can recycle the mask to get back a Solemn at the right time. It can be just completely devastating to your opponent, or if you happen to get them low with some early aggression, you can grab back a ring, and if they don't have an answer, then what you gonna do? And so I think recycling Solemns is really cool. As well, kind of the same thing I mentioned with the Tsukiyomi. Like if it flips and you have plenty of ways to protect it with the Sakus, it can, be a body on board, with 900 damage, which is nothing to, scoff at if they don't have an answer to it. So it can kind of help you get aggressive as well at certain times. So anyway, time seal is kind of weird, I guess. Typically this is like a little homage to the old flip control decks of old that ran like triple mask and the Tsukiyomi and triple time seal to really try to set up these like time seal locks on your opponent. But I think just one's good. You like it. I mean, it's not a bad card in Warriors anyway because you're always down to kind of simplify the game state. But especially if you get a nice like Tsuk lock setup where they don't have an answer to it and you time seal them, they just fall even further behind. So yeah, and then games 2 and 3, I'll typically kind of go a little bit away from the flip strategy as much, just because I know that there'll be a lot of mind controls coming in, and people are prepared for it once they see that you're main decking these flips like Mask and Faith and Dekoichi and Spy and stuff. So they'll typically, so I sometimes will side like the Zombiras in over the Dekoichis, or 1 and 1 over maybe one of the Dekoichis and one of the Masks. So I'll side in these beaters, and sometimes a breaker will come in and place one of these flips, and I'll usually side out one of the Tsukiyomis. Matchup dependent. If it's against Turbo, I'll do that. Against Warriors, I'll kind of keep in both of the Tsukiyomis, just because I really like this card against Warrior. And then else on the side that's interesting, I'm running this like kind of Abyss Soldier package thing as an out to control. I mean, you can run King Tiger and Ashura Priest or whatever, but I like this as a way to out control and other jank decks. I like it in certain matchups. What else is there to say? I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and see the deck in action. It's really fun. Like I said, I don't think it's tier 1 or anything, but I think it could be really good. I think it can definitely win the tournament if piloted correctly and catch people off guard. I also think the best way that this would be played, in my opinion, and this is something I have theorized a bit as well, maybe you'll see it from me in the future, is I think in a smoke screen this could be really potent, because if you run like just a standard warrior list game 1, and I have this all built, I'm not going to show it off quite yet, but basically you can run a standard warrior list game 1 that has no flips at all, and then games 2 side into a list that looks something like this, when your opponents are taking out their knocks and mind controls, and you can really abuse these flips and gain card advantage pretty quickly. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into some replays. I've talked long enough. This was a match in the Go Format Friday 1 p.m. tournament. I played that with this deck. I got second place. So I got some good testing in, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into a match. So I get duoed. Don't mind the exiled because I have the call to kind of protect it. Now, what do I get rid of? I was not 100% sure. I don't think I knew what deck he was on either, so this is kind of tough. Do I end up getting... So I end up getting rid of the Dust Shoot, just because, like, if he's on... there's plenty of reasons why this Dust Shoot could be dead next turn. If he's on Warriors, obviously it'll probably be dead if he sets some spells and traps and stuff. But even against like Turbo, they could set a Dust Shoot of their own and set some chainables, and next thing I know, the Dust Shoot's dead. So definitely glad I got rid of it in this instance. Quite worried about a Dust Shoot here, but it doesn't come through. I think it's all kind of standard. Set the Spy. Maybe there's an argument to not set all three of these, but I think it's fine. Dusts are Saku, MSTs are other Saku, which is kind of annoying, but because especially if you had something like a Mystic Swordsman level 2 coming, but just a breaker. And so, I mean, look at this, these 4 cards to 1, but Gravekeeper Spy does Gravekeeper Spy things, and this is just what happens. I know how this feels being on this, side of the field, staring down these spies you have no answer to. I have Prima, so I could like exile, but what's the point? There's nothing really for me to grab. He's still clogged up by these spies. I decided to set the knock just in case one of these sets is like an MST or a Dust or something, but I realize now like the chances of him doing that in phase will be pretty low since he already used most of that. Luckily, I do get some value out of the knock now because he decides to set a Donza Luke. Yeah. Just wait it out. Now I draw into the Mask, which can be decent because I have I can get either Call or Saku, and also like I know his Blade Knight can't, break over it because he has a breaker on board, so could be good here. He summons a Kaiku, and so I'm a little worried at this point about like a, I don't know. I don't know what I'd be worried about, like a knock or something. But then it still doesn't matter. He has no way to deal with my board at the moment, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and get the Sakuretsu armor back. No point in using this one right now, just because he can't answer anything on my board. So I'll just set the Saku, set the MST. That is one of the downsides with Mask is they know that you have the trap in your hand now, so they'll find ways to play around it, but decide not to end phase MST, the new one. I'm just going to kind of wait it out here. Draw Torrential, which could be interesting in the right time. Definitely don't want to use it yet because I'm still kind of down, but if I can get him to commit even more to the board, or I can even take some more nice trades via drawing into some flips and gaining some more advantage, and I could definitely consider some torrential stuff to clear his board and get myself set up for the future. I decided to go ahead and go with this Blade Knight. I know I play into torrential here, and I basically assumed this Blade Knight is probably gonna get hit by some sort of battle trap, but I really don't care because we're getting battle traps out of the way. And if for whatever reason he doesn't have an answer to this Blade Knight, I just start plussing over his entire field. I go with the Blade Knight first because I see he has 2 cards in hand, so I know that the Blade Knight's gonna get that damage in for sure. Summons another Blade Knight, and so I was a little surprised that he didn't have an answer to my initial Blade Knight, so I assume he probably doesn't have like a battle trap set, maybe a Mirror Force that he's sitting on. So then I decide to MST the new one, and it is a Mirror Force. So in a really good spot here. Draw into a Solemn, which is just really going to help. And at this point, we're kind of up in cards from being down 4-1 at one point, just because how nasty Gravekeeper Spy can be. He goes Sasuke, which now I am going to have to answer, but luckily I have both of these Sakuretsu armors set. He dusts one of them. No point in Solemning it yet, I don't think. Then he goes Premature. Then I have a decision to make about whether to potentially, torrential this. My assumption is that he probably has a Solemn set, and I bet that if I can torrential, I can bait him into Solemning, and so then I'll get him really low on life. He won't have a Solemn anymore, and then I still have the Saku for the Sasuke. So I think that's what I end up deciding to do. So I go torrential, he does Solemn, and I still have what I need. He wants to crash the Blade Knight, that's perfectly fine. And then I decide to use the Saku, and I'm still just chilling. Decided to keep kind of doing the same thing I was with the Blade Knight earlier, just attacking over his field. Have a Solemn to kind of back this all up. And my kind of play next turn is if, he's gone through several of his good monsters. He's gone through Premature Burial. So kind of my plan next turn or something is if he doesn't start summoning more monsters, I can just crash the Blade Knight and just start attacking with these spies. Draw into Tsukiyomi, which this is just basically game unless he has like a torrential, which I would have Solemn for anyway, so he would need to have 2 actionable cards, and he does not. So GK Spy, stupid card. Completely won me that game. Despite getting duo turn 1. Draw into a pretty nice hand once again. Go Pot of Greed. Some people will say you don't Pot of Greed because you have a spy in your hand. You don't want to draw the other spy, but that's just, I don't know. I feel like there's so many good cards that you can draw into, like your Duo, Dust Shoot, tons of stuff. I don't have Dust Shoot in this game too against Warriors, but anyway. I've taken out some of the kind of flip stuff, and still running the spies. I still have 1 faith in the main. I think I still have 1 mask in the main. But more Zombiras in here now, and kind of just standard stuff that you side in against the aggro mirror. Also, one thing I'll mention is I know that you could probably run 3 spies in this deck because you have the Tsukiyomi to kind of loop it. Maybe I should. I just don't have a ton of room and have had just a hard time figuring out the monster ratios yet. So I'm fine with waiting here on the breaker because obviously both of these are chainable. My hope is that he would hit the time seal, but we're forced to ring the breaker. I honestly don't Actually, I realize this now. This was a mistake. There's no need to ring this breaker. He can't really get over the spy anyway. And, one of the common outs to spy is something like, tribe, in which case he'd have to build up his own breaker anyway. So, yeah, this ring was a mistake. There's no need to do this here. I decided to go ahead and just get aggressive. Like, there's a chance that I could run into spy here. There's a chance I could run into. I was thinking after I attacked, like this could be a Donzaloo because I noticed that he set Donzaloo last turn. But I just want to see what's going on here, and if it is something that I can, get over, then I'll just continue the aggression. But maybe in hindsight, this isn't the best because typically, warriors, if they're setting something, it's going to be like a GD warrior lady, a Donzaloo, or a spy, and he wouldn't be setting a faith this early. Maybe a reaper. So yeah, I don't think there's a ton of reason to go with both of these. And then I go Zombira just in case it is a spy, but I really can't get over the second one anyway, so I don't know about turning these both to attack. I think that was kind of a mistake. In phase 2, go ahead and just time seal. I don't see why not. I think we're in a pretty good spot here. And yeah. Brain control. The Zombira, I definitely worry a little bit about like a Mobius, but doesn't happen. Yeah, this was weird. I should have just kept these in defense and just attacked with the Zombira. It doesn't make any sense not to. Definitely let this attack go through because I'm going to get the Zombira back at the end of the turn anyway, but I definitely want to widespread ruin the Kaiku. I actually got really lucky here that he attacked first with the Zombira because it makes the widespread ruin live on the Kaiku, because otherwise it would still destroy the Zombira because of what widespread ruin does. So got a little lucky there. Get it back. So I'm kind of left with a few possibilities. I really like my hand. I don't really want to get rid of anything. I'm not getting a ton of value out of this Mobius at the moment, but I assume he's probably a bit monster clogged the way that he's been playing anyway. So I decide I just gonna go ahead and just use the Mobius to get over the spy and just set up this board. He's gonna have to find ways to answer it, and even if he does, we have a really good follow up next turn, no matter what we want to do. Fortunately, he draws into duo, so just keep the graceful. It seems reasonable enough. He's forced to exile the Mobius, which is pretty good for me because I know that his the spy is gonna have a good time hanging around for a bit longer, knowing that he had to use that there. I'm going to still save the graceful. I just want to wait till I'm in a situation where I have cards in my hand that are dead or something, or I really want to just like push for game and I just need to find one card. I'm just going to hold the graceful. I'm in a good spot. I've got the spy. I've got the call to bring back anything I want. So banishes the spy, sets one. Decided in the end phase to go with the Mobius, which, yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Go ahead and do this now, just in case it is like a solemn or something. Now I decided to go ahead and Graceful because this Zombira is not doing a ton in this spot. I already have a body on board. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable. What do I get rid of? I get rid of Zombira and Premature. I think I kind of like... I'm not sure. I think because he's on Warriors, I'm worried about like Mystic Swordsman level 2 or something, and I want to be able to protect my mask so that it can resolve and get me something back. But I think I kind of like keeping the Premature maybe and getting rid of the Mirror Force instead. But I don't hate this either. Heavy. It's a good one. I don't know if he had it or if he drew it, but definitely going to help him out here. But at the same time, we have the mask, but unfortunately he has the Blade Knight. So, just like that, the fortune has kind of swung away from us after the duo heavy combo. Kind of sucks, but all good. I mean, I drew pretty well myself, so we'll just take this, draw a Blade Knight of my own, and yeah, I'm going to try to book this after attack declaration. Let's just keep on going in. This BLS is live, but I haven't seen Mirror Force yet. I think I probably can go ahead and summon the BLS, maybe knowing that it's either Mirror Force or nothing. So I don't know. Anyway, he has 2 spell trap removals, so that is it. Yeah, the deck performed really well in this match against Warriors. I was very impressed. Obviously, Gravekeeper Spy was huge. It just stuck on board both games. Sometimes it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes it just gets knocked. What are you going to do? But yeah, Spy was really good in that scenario. So that was a match against Warriors. Now we're going to look at a match against Chaos Turbo. I'm playing against Jace, who's a really good duelist, Australian. I decided to take a little bit of a trickier approach to game 1. I kind of assume he's probably on Turbo, just because I know that's what he historically played in the War League and stuff. But so I want to go ahead and set this Mystic Sword in level 2 because I have the Mirror Force to protect it against anything weird that he might like decide to summon and attack with turn 1. And at the same time, very often, like if you T-set or set something, Turbo turn on the first turn, they'll set back into you. So yeah, I don't know if this is correct, but I want to get a little tricky here with the Mystic Swordsman by setting it. Okay, so I see his hand. I see, yeah, obviously Sin Reaper. He drew 2 Thunder Dragons, which is unfortunate. So yeah, that is that. So he knocks our Mystic Swords in level 2. It's kind of the con of that happening. But now the knock's out of the deck. At least the first knock is gone, so it gives our Faith a better chance to resolve later in the game. Obviously, I don't have anything to do with this. This should be a time seal. Yeah, okay, I use it. I think there was one match that I'm going to look at here where I just forget to use it for several turns and it cost me. But this seems like a good chance to go for it. We just basically skip their turn, get a card deeper. Part of me is kind of tempted to like summon Exile Force and start attacking, getting aggressive because I have the Mirror Force to protect it. I mean, obviously I know he has Raigeki Break, but if he's forced to like Raigeki Break, ditch a Thunder Dragon just to deal with my exile, then it's not the end of the world because we get that out of the way. Now our Faith has an even better chance to resolve later once I start getting into some spells. But I think I just ultimately decide to wait, draw into Duo, which is beautiful. And hit the Minecon, which is nice. Could have been kind of weird. And then set the Faith. And then he has a second Minecon in the main. So based off his hand, based off of his grave, I think I'm okay to let this Minecon resolve. It's unfortunate, but this Magician of Faith is going to stick around, and I'll have the Tsukiyomi to potentially go with it later. I have 2 of them in the deck, and I don't feel horrible about this, honestly. I think let's just save the Solemn for something more important later. He's not getting back any Trinity or anything. If there was like a Graceful or Card Destruction or something in the deck, then I would consider not, but I think I'm okay here. Basically just traded 1 for 1. Set the call, nothing in grave, but in case I need to like exile next turn, I'll have the call on the ret for after that. Pot of Greed's good here. The Graceful, I think I'm going to go ahead and just wait on the Graceful. I think it's okay if I rip this because I have like Call and Prima, so if I draw into more monsters, I can always send them to the grave to bring them back anyway, but I don't know. Warriors, I tend to kind of hold the Graceful sometimes just until the right situation presents itself. This is a little weird. Why do I decide to set this? I think my reasoning is that he already used a knock, so the chance that this get knocked is pretty low. Also, the chance of him, like, he's not going to be able to... I have the Mirror Force to protect any attack with, like, over it. I think just to get it on the board so that if he, like, sets something back, I can flip it, then pop something, and then have another monster come, follow up next turn after I use the Graceful or something. I don't know. This is a little weird. I don't think that's correct. I know I sound like I'm trying to justify it, and I sort of am, but I think it's a little strange. He has knock. See, that's kind of, I get punished for setting that, but I think expecting him to have the second knock. He's had a weird hand where he do double mind control, double knock. So knowing he has all these mind controls is a little tricky, but he's kind of bricked, and we've drawn really well. Now here comes the Tsukiyomi, which is great. I know he has Raigeki Break and a Thunder Dragon in hand, so I know there's no way this actually goes through. But I think I'm okay with just doing this because even if I go Tsukiyomi, he Raigeki breaks the Magician of Faith. I can call it back later or Prima it back later and still gain advantage regardless. And this is where like I don't feel like I'm the best with this deck because just I don't know. During certain things with Tsukiyomi, sometimes it gets me a little confused and I kind of make mistakes along that line. But I think this is okay. He has Ring, so we still know he has Raigeki Break to stop something in the future. I set this just so I don't get dust shooted, I guess. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, just so I don't get dust shooted. That's true. That does make sense. So I decided to go ahead and go for this here. I know that this is probably going to get Raigeki Breaked. Yep. We know he has Sinister now. And now I can go with Blade Knight and start attacking and getting aggressive. And I have like just a super good warrior setup as well to go along with all this flip stuff. There's other ways I could have done this. I could have like then called the Faith and flipped it back down instead. And yeah, that probably would have been a better decision to make. Yeah. I think also like my everybody knows that I am just not great with rulings, and sometimes knowing like if bring a monster off of call or something, flip it back down, can I flip it back up? I don't think the turn that I use the card that I can, but the turn after that I could. And if I like do that, does the call go away or the prima go away? I don't know. It's a little weird setting the graceful, but I have a solemn to kind of back some things up, and I wanted to make sure to get the Blade Knight to 2,000, and you know I'll just plan on using this pretty soon. This is like a pretty nice, Tsukiyomi knock setup here. Okay, I ended up not using the knock. Interesting. Interesting. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? I think mainly because I know he already has Serpent. I have ways to deal with face downs in bringing back Blade Knight or something, and I have the knock at hand, so I don't hate this. We'll save the knock for something scarier later. But I am playing a risky game by doing it this way because eventually, he's playing Turo. Eventually, he's going to draw into some, power cards. I know I just showed his hand. Oops. Definitely just Mirror Force this. Not getting a ton of value of Mirror Force outside of other matchups anyway. So now I decided to go for the Faith thing. Yeah, I assume the turn that I use call to grab the Faith, I can't flip it back up that turn, but I'm not 100% sure. Now he's kind of just in trouble. Has to commit with a Chaos Monster. Yeah, I think I'm perfectly fine to let this go through. I would say just because I know he has his knocks gone. He's got these mind controls gone. He's kind of forced to attack into this, and then he goes Reaper, and I think I'm okay with using the Torrential here. I don't know. I think there were some different ways I could have done that for sure. And then I get duoed. I think a bit about this, but I end up deciding to Solemn it. Our hand's just pretty good against Turbo at the moment. Now I'll go ahead and Graceful. Now that I kind of know where I'm at, and then that's just game. We've got BLS plus another monster. So he was definitely kind of bricked up there with his hands. It was a little weird. I think a faster Turbo hand would have probably beat me there because I played it a little bad, I would think, there at the end. I think there were some other ways I could have handled some of those flips and stuff, but it's okay. Just a little tip for some, if you're newer and watching this, anytime you're drawing to 4 cards on your first turn, it's wise to like just let your opponent know that you're going to keep your draw phase priority in case you draw into like an MST, or if they have a face-up monster and you have like a chainable like book, like any of those quick play spells, you should just hold on to it and see what you draw. Because a lot of times you can use those in your draw phase priority and your opponent can't activate Trap Dust Shoot. So it's good to keep in mind. Just in case he held the Dust Shoot, set the Mirror Force first. This is a little weird. I think this isn't too crazy. There's several ways I can go. I could go Blade Knight attack, but I am a little concerned about Gravekeeper Spy if I was to do something like that. Typically, Turbo will set their Spy as early as possible, so I usually like to assume the first set is a Spy. So I'm going to do the kind of typical Mystic Swordsman level 2 attack. If the attack doesn't go through, then I'll knock it main phase 2. And he ends up Solemning. So that's interesting. So that kind of tells me that this second set is probably not some sort of like battle trap or something. I don't know if I kept note of that at the time, but then I go ahead and use the knock. I've taken the Dekoichis out, taken out one of the Tsukiyomis as well, just to avoid all these mind controls that I know he's bringing in. Yeah, I have the option here to either summon Sasuke attack or set the Spy. We'll go ahead and get the Spy going as quick as possible. It's Breaker, which is in a good spot here. Go ahead and Duo. Can't do a ton, but no point, because eventually he's going to get Sinister Thunder Dragons in hand. And we get rid of Heavy BLS, which is perfectly fine. 1,000 life points to get rid of those. It's very nice. Alright, so I assume Chaos is coming because he obviously tribute sets for the Thunder Dragon. Chaos Sorcerer to banish one of them, so I gotta find an answer to the Sorcerer. Don't have one right now. I'll go ahead and just knock. This is go ahead and just knock. This was a major misplay. This was horrible. Yeah, straight up, like I just forgot he had like just tribute set the Thunder Dragon. I just saw knock in my hand and saw a face down and just immediately ripped it. And yeah, this was bad. This was not the move. I was lower in life, like I can definitely see doing that, but there's no point. Like next turn, he'll go, banish one of my spies and then flip up the Thunder Dragon and attack. This is just big mistake. Big mistake. Yeah, like I said, I don't mind showing my misplays on this channel. It is what it is. I know my limits as a duelist. I know that sometimes against better opponents, I'm just gonna make these kind of mistakes. Just how it goes sometimes. Draw GD War Lady, which is a nice out, but I'm still down in cards. Go ahead and just go Sasuke and draw Dust Shoot, which is not great, just because Jace is a good turbo player. He's not gonna play into this pretty much ever. So Tsukiyomi not doing a ton. And then he sets a monster. Oops. Go ahead and just decide to go Sangan and attack. It's really my only option. I could set something, but I want to go ahead and just start getting after it, I guess. And I run into Spy. If I'd have just held that knock, this game would look quite a bit different, I think. Because now I have 2 spies I have to deal with. One of my Sasuke's is in grave. So I try to bait the think when he summons the Thunder Dragon, just to maybe show that maybe I could have Torrential, but ultimately he has a read that my back row is a blank, which it is. So, and him being able to tribute off that Spy, it gave him another dark for the Sorcerer. So just that one mistake with that knock was pretty much it there. I MST just for info on his back row. And yeah, brain lapse when I knocked the TD. I was just stupid. But that's how it goes. Alright, kind of standard here. Spy, set the 3. I keep getting these face without any spells. I don't think this is necessarily the deck. I mean, this can happen because you're running less spells than something like Chaos Turbo, but at the same time, typically enough spells that this shouldn't be that big of an issue, but we'll just hold it. Luckily, I have the, Spy to go with it. He goes Heavy, which is kind of unfortunate. It's kind of in a weird spot where I have to Solemn just to protect my ring, which is going to take me low anyway. So, but I do have the Spy to kind of protect myself unless he has an answer to it. Upstarts, goes Tribe. I'm forced to ring this pretty much. Yeah. And that pretty much, good against a good player, they're going to know right away what you have set, what your set could be. And so he probably has a read that this is spy. But luckily, he doesn't have a ton of answers to it at the moment. So have a few decisions to make. Not really a few. I just have to decide what I want to do with this Rhoda. If I want to just summon both of the spies and attack with both of them, or summon an additional monster. I don't see why not, because he doesn't have light and dark and grave. I just worry about him finding something to stall out with. And so I go ahead and do this. I think the best thing to grab off of the Rhoda would probably be a Sasuke, because I know that he has Reapers, and we saw spies of his own. I actually decided to hold the Rhoda. I think that's okay as well. Yeah, just to kind of see what comes up next if he decides to set something. Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think maybe going ahead and using the Rhoda to get after something is not a bad idea. Summons to Koichi, get another Rhoda. So, yeah, I definitely wish I would have gotten after it last turn. I think that probably would have been game this turn. Yeah, would have been. So, yeah. Now basically I just have to hope he doesn't have Torrential or Mirror Force. Otherwise, this is basically over. Solemns, I go ahead and not attack yet, just in case this is a spy. I want to make sure to Solemn the flip of the spy. Yeah. I think, because I don't have any answers to it, and I feel like I want to end this as quickly as possible before he can start getting light monsters into the grave, before he draws into Thunder Dragon, starts doing the turbo stuff. I want to end this as quick as possible. So he decides to flip it, and then I Solemn. Now, this is a little risky. Like, there's several things he could find here that would be trouble, especially because he has the Graceful to follow up. And, yeah. So he sets one, and I top deck the perfect card, Mind Control, to end the game. So that was a close match against Jace. Got a little lucky there. We both drew pretty well. So that was a fun little match against Turbo, kind of showing what the deck can do. Then my last replay, this was in the finals of the Go Format Friday 1 p.m. tournament, and this one's gonna hurt. If you get cringe watching me make abysmal misplays, then you might want to turn it off now. We get to see the deck in action, definitely. That's fun, but not my best work, let's say that. Okay, so he goes Duo, hits the Koichi. I go ahead and set the Koichi first. Now I have to decide what my second discard will be. I know he's on Turbo, so I'm going to keep the knock. It's I would say either the Mask or the Call, probably. I end up going with the Call because I can get it back with the Mask. And he just sets one. So luckily, he has Duo turn one, but luckily we're able to kind of survive a little bit. And now, like I said, this is the kind of thing with Koichi a lot of times. Flip Warriors, you can start getting aggressive, getting after their life, and then you have it backed up by some, a robust trap lineup, as well as setting more flips along with this Mask. It's pretty good. This is a good setup now, and I feel pretty good about how things are. We go Trap Dust Shoot and see his hand. I kind of decide, I'm just going to Solemn this Pot of Greed. Pretty much no matter what, based off of where he's at. Now, I don't have answers to the Gravekeeper Spy, so I think that's what I end up deciding to send, and I end up sending to Koichi. Why do I send to Koichi? Why do I do this? Why? I'm straight up not sure. I think this is Spy, because I don't have an out to it, so not sure why. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I had some reasoning for it. I think also, I'm thinking maybe I can loop this Dust Shoot and Dust Shoot him again next turn and send back his newer monsters, but I don't know. I think sending Spy is better here. Go ahead and just do that. All right, let's get back. So now he sets a Spy that I have no answer to. This is so stupid. So So I got in heavy. I know that he has book set. I don't mind doing this because I drew into MST, so I have more spell trap removal. I want to do this now before he can get a chance to get some value out of it by chaining it or something. Now I have Solemn and MST. So that's fine, I guess, because now I can Solemn the flip of the Spy if I need to. Yeah, he decides to go to Koichi. I know that his and I maybe assumed this snatch was coming, so I don't know. Let me try. What do I know that he has in hand? I don't think I know anything else at this point that he has in hand. I know the spy set. I know he has a snatch. Definitely gonna wait on this. Like I could MST it, but unless he drew into Thunder Dragon, there's no way that you know, there's no way he's gonna tribute this off. So this is gonna be a Dekoichi just kind of hanging around for a little bit. Anytime I can MST this. If I see him go Thunder Dragons, I can, on resolution MST the snatch, and I didn't really want to solemn this either. I'm down to just kind of chill, see what happens here. I have a lot of good cards that could kind of deal with this board setup. Rhoda being one of them. So I could go Mystic Swordsman level 2, and that would just immediately answer the Spy. But at the same time, he can attack back over it with the Dekoichi, and I want to save the MST. I don't want to have to use this MST on the snatch. So I think the best play here is just to play a little more patient. We'll go with the Sasuke. I know in the list that I showed before, there wasn't a Sasuke, there was a Tribe instead. I completely forgot when I first made this deck to put Tribe in it, so that's why there's some slight differences between different versions. Also, I know these got knocked, so he's not going to be able to get another one, so I just need to wait one more turn before I can start getting after this Spy. The Tsukiyomi is a real problem. I'm kind of trying to decide what he... Yeah, so I do decide to go ahead and Solemn, because he can start looping this. I assume he would set the Sasuke, but regardless, I need to kind of get after it here. So now I attack into the Spy. Solemn's a great draw here. He goes Tribe, which puts me in a kind of weird spot. He would have to get rid of his one card to get rid of it. I know it's not a Thunder Dragon or a Sinister for the most part, so we'd be kind of getting into a negated game state or a simplified game state that I would like as a warrior player. So I don't know. I think there's maybe an argument to hold off on this, but at the same time, I would need to find something to get back over the Tribe with anyway at some point in time. So then he decides to set one. Draw into Pot of Greed. Fantastic. Go ahead and use it. And then, oh yes, I realized he summoned Tribe last turn. I was informed that he summoned Tribe last turn, and yeah, so yeah, actually kind of like wish that would have gone that way, because then I can go Mystic Swordsman and attack into that with that, but it doesn't matter. It was an illegal move anyway, so all good. I didn't catch it. I should have noticed that. Decides to set one. This is all just kind of standard from here. I also had a Zing originally in the deck that I took out, so yeah. Just attack. I mean, there is like potential that heavy could be pretty good here, so I don't want to set the book quite yet. We'll MST one of these, knowing one of them's probably a real trap that he wants to protect. There you go, Sasuke. And that's just game. So we win game one. On to the next. Kind of weird. I played that a bit weird, especially with the Dust Shoot. That was a mistake, I think. Get duoed again, turn one. What you gonna do? I ended up deciding to go with the BLS. I thought quite a bit about it. But ultimately I decided to just go with the BLS. I don't have any lights and darks in grave yet, and obviously DD Warrior Lady a lot of the time is going to end up banished regardless, so I decided to not take the guess on it. Get Dust Shooted anyway. So interesting that I decided to just set the Dust Shoot. Like I could definitely set both of these, but I worry about like a breaker or something that I don't know. I just feel stupid with this Solemn sitting here if I end up getting hit by something like that. And I assumed if he had any other Trinity pieces like Graceful or Pot of Greed, he would have used them turn 1 anyway. So already kind of get our backs against the wall. I'm trying to decide whether to go ahead and use this. I have a 50-50 chance of hitting something other than a Thunder Dragon. And I decided to go ahead and wait on it. Decided to wait for the long haul. Set the knock. I don't know why this is like some sort of stupid bait or something. Same reason I just didn't want to set the solemn because of a breaker. It's the same thing that plays into something with the knock, so that was just bad. I also would consider myself like kind of a inconsistent player. I feel like there's days that I really feel like I'm on my game and playing really well, and then there's certain matches or streaks of games where I just completely lose all of my Yu-Gi-Oh wherewithal. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's just how it is sometimes. All right, so go ahead and use the duo now because I could loop it with Faith if needed to really, start getting after his hand. We hit a knock, which gives me even more the green light to go ahead with this Faith. So yeah, I can grab Rhoda, Duo, or Knock. I know that he has one Thunder Dragon in hand, probably like a Chaos Monster as well or something. So I know he'll more than likely have at least 2 in hand after this for me to use. But at the same time, I have to find something to deal with this breaker as well. So I thought quite a bit about it. Go ahead and just Duo. And yeah, hit some pretty good stuff. I assume that because he ditched Tribe, that this last card in his hand is a Chaos Monster. Which kind of bodes decently well because I have the Solemn to negate it, but at the same time I'm starting to just get low now, so I have to let this go through, and then I'll have to Solemn the Chaos Monster whenever it comes down. So I need to find an out to the breaker pretty soon. I think quite a bit about this because I know Knock is gone, so like I could always just DD Warrior Lady trade into this and then Solemn the Chaos next turn, but I decided to set it, kind of take the risk. That way I could wall up with the DD Warrior Lady and then force him into summoning a Chaos Monster and Solemning it. And then I could kind of keep my DD Warrior Lady in defense as long as he doesn't have another answer for it. So he just sets one. Mask. I'm just going to sit on this for what now. Mask is decent here because I have the Dust Shoot, but I really need to find a use for the Solemn. Like maybe not even setting this yet until I know that the Solemn is engraved would make the most sense. Yeah, because now I have a Dust Shoot that he's going to 100% play around. So this was kind of a mistake and kind of can show the weakness of Mask. I think I just should have waited for the Chaos Monster to come down, or even for him to use one of these like this. I assume this is maybe a flip or something. I don't know what it is, but maybe Solemn it. You kind of have the green light to Solemn pretty quickly with a lot of things, knowing that you have the Mask to get it back. So I just should have waited, I think, to use the Solemn before I set the Mask. Because now, like, the Dust Shoot does absolutely nothing. I'm forced to Solemn the DD Warrior Lady. I mean, I could wait, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I could let him have it, and then I have to Saku it, but then I would have to. Yeah, I don't know. So now I go ahead and decide to start getting after it because I have the Saku, 2 Sakus to protect. So I'll go ahead and use one of these now. Don't like using this on a breaker, but okay, don't use it at all. Interesting. Greed. I think the reason I summoned this and decided to attack was that if this was like a, any sort of Dekoichi or Faith or anything like that, that he's going to get another card to his hand that would then make my Dust Shoot live, but it's just never going to work like that. Decent draws here. I'm still a little worried about heavy, and I just not really playing like I care at this point about it. He sets 1. Draw Spy. Why do I decide to summon the Spy rather than set it? I think for the same reasons I mentioned earlier, if this is a Faith or a Dekoichi, I get to use my Dust Shoot next turn, which I'm just trying to get some value out of this. And I also have the Sakuretsus to back this up. So I think I like the idea of summoning this here in attack position. Fortunately, he has a Night Assailant. He smartly doesn't grab a Sinister, knowing that I have Dust Shoot, so here comes the Chaos. Snatch kind of sucks just because I'm so low now. And I'm just forced to survive. Drawn to Faith, which is pretty good. I don't know why I'm setting the Snatch here. Maybe just to make sure he doesn't try to kill me. Have some decent cards to get back, obviously Pot of Greed being the main one. But he drops BLS, and that is kind of brutal. And goes Tsukiyomi to set the BLS face down, rendering my Snatch useless. So well played to stay alive there, because I'm curious what he had set. Dust Shoot. So yeah, that would have been pretty nasty if I could have gotten away with that Snatch. But I do draw into Mind Control, and I'm just in trouble because I'm low. So Zambira, I decide to summon it. I thought quite a bit of whether I want to attack or not. Zambira kind of sucks here because I know he has Tsukiyomi, and I have no answer to the Tsukiyomi. So I don't know quite what to do. I feel like if I set this, most of the time he's going to like summon the Tsukiyomi, flip this down, and then attack, and so I'm going to lose this anyway. So I think regardless, I think I should just attack here into the Sinister, but I was worried about like a battle trap or something, and then he does the Tsukiyomi and I lose anyway. So I don't know. I think I should have just attacked and tried to at least get some damage in, because later in the game, if I can draw into some good cards to kind of get me back into it, there's the potential for some damage to come in play if I can chip away at him a little bit more. So drawn to another Zambira, which is just doing nothing. Decide to set it this time. Don't know why exactly. And we get knocked, and he attacks for game. So that is that. Definitely some things I could have done better there, and some sloppy play on my end, and the worst is yet to come. Alrighty. Decent hand. Like I said, I'm going to wait on the Graceful. Always want to see what my opponent's going to do first. It always feels really nice being able to set, Gravekeeper Spy in a deck like Warriors early. Because if it gets knocked, you don't hate it either. You get the knocks out of play. Though I did want to set up something with the Mobius. So he only banishes one, so I assume he has one in hand, and he also had 2 Thunder Dragons in hand. So off to a pretty good start for me, honestly. I decided to go ahead and go Mystic Swordsman level 2. This is interesting, as opposed to using the Exiled. Huh. That is very strange. Not sure why. I mean, if anything, I think I can go like Exiled and then use Graceful to try to find a knock of my own or something. I don't know. I think I'm just not too concerned, because eventually I can get this Mobius to resolve, and it'll be able to get over the Spy, because he only has one other Spy, I assume. Probably sided out the second. So now I decide to go ahead and Graceful. I just don't have any cards that are doing anything right at the moment, and Sasuke is a great one to do it. Drawing into all of these, Dust Shoot, Solemn, Faith. I feel like this is such a strong hand now at this point. I know his Faith, his set is most likely a Spy. So I'm down to go ahead and just attack in here. And then I'll set all 4 of these. Dust Shoot. Let's see his hand. Yeah, see Thunder Dragon, Mind Con, Heavy, Snatch. Now, this is actually kind of bad, because I know he's going to Heavy now, so I'm going to have to Solemn the Heavy, and then I'll probably have to Solemn the Snatch if he does that as well. So all of a sudden, I'm really low. And, I mean, we're in a minimized game state, which is fine by me playing this type of strategy, but at the same time, I'm already really low, and my opponent hasn't drawn Ring yet, and I've lost 2 Solemns, so this isn't a great spot to be in, actually, but I can get aggressive right away. So we know that he still has Minecon in hand, so I can't set the Faith, unfortunately. It would be a great spot too, but he sets another. Okay, let's see. So I know he has... So I know he has just 2 Thunder Dragons in hand. So I go ahead and Mind Control this. We go Graceful. All right, this is the biggest mistake of this game. This is punishable. I don't know. I feel like I should be doing some prison time, to be honest, for this. So right here, I have a Sook loop. I have Faith, Sook. I know that he has mind control, but it doesn't matter what he has in hand because I have delinquent duo, right? And this is the problem. I, for some reason, forget that I have the duo in my hand and am so worried about this mind control that he has in his hand that I can easily deal with that I ultimately decide to get rid of the snatch. Snatch, I think it's fine. I mean, like I could always do some sort of snatch Tsukiyomi stuff, but I'm so low at this point that I don't feel like that's gonna happen a ton. I feel like the obvious thing to do would be to go Zing because I have the MST to protect against spell and trap, but I decided to get rid of this Faith, and it's just not the play to make. I'm not gonna be too hard on myself. Not the end of the world, but this was not correct. I could have easily started looping Faith and just pretty much won the game from here. So yeah, I mean, I'm still putting myself in a good position. But I just don't feel like Zing is ever going to work out. I'm thinking like worst case scenario, I can Zing one of my dead cards that I could potentially draw into later. But I could really started ramping up card advantage if I would have just kept the Faith. But you live and you learn. Top deck's Graceful. Get Sinister. Get Sork. And just like that, I am kind of in trouble here. So, say we played it out differently, I would have set the Faith, he would have Graceful, I wouldn't have this Zing, so I would have the Faith set, he would be summoning this, he would be forced into, attacking into the Faith. I get back, I can get a lot of things. I could have got Snatch, I could have got Graceful again of my own, could have got Minecon, and I don't know. It was just a bit of a mistake here. So now I'm in kind of a weird spot. The Tsukiyomi's not doing a lot, so I decide to set it. I don't think I need to set this, really. Just because I have the Mirror Force. And now like I'm in a position where I can't flip up my Tsukiyomi because he has a Faith on board. I think the MST here in the end phase is fine. So now my like Zing is doing nothing. I can save it though because I draw Call, so I can call Faith and do some stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's what I decide to do here. Yeah, call, grab Faith, flip it, and he has the second Raigeki break. It's just so unfortunate. And I definitely didn't. I say that like unfortunate, like I deserve to win this. I definitely didn't. I played like crap. And yeah. We go Sinister. Saku's doing nothing. I set the Faith again. Zing his last two cards. So now I'm feeling okay. I just need to find something soon. Because he can easily get Ring. He can get plenty of things that can kill me. And I'm getting beat down by the Sinister. So Dust Shoe does nothing. Summons Zombara this time. Let's actually attack with it. Set it. Like I could consider heavy, but there's no need. I've got Saku to protect myself, double Saku to protect myself. So let's just wait it out. And then I set the Dust Shoe just in case he like goes Pot of Greed or something crazy. Goes Sorcerer. And I go DD Warrior Lady. Set it, have to set it. My Exiled's gone. Exiled is not gone. Why didn't I go Exiled? I think because I know he has Sinister. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But I think I have to make the same play anyway. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Because I know he has Sinister. That would kill me, so I Saku this, and then he's stuck with the Sinister on board. This is interesting. I decide to just keep it face down. I think my assumption is that he's probably got a Battle Trap set or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. I think I like just summoning everything and attacking. I could even heavy here. I mean, this could be Ring and I could just die, but I don't know. Other things I could have done, I think. He goes Dust. I decided to just wait it out. Play a little more patient. He goes MST on my Zing, which is going to open up his Ring, and I just lose. So oof, that was a mega throw, and it hurts, but like I said, I'm not going to be too hard on myself. I know there's days where I'm not playing very well, and, it's just how it goes sometimes, but I thought those were some fun games. I thought they really kind of showed off what the deck can do. There were some matches too that I played that I just completely blew out my opponent using like souk loops and stuff. I didn't want to include those because they really weren't great back and forth games where I felt like all of those matches were pretty fun and back and forth at least. So anyway, this is it. Flip Warriors. Really a lot of emphasis on the flip. Like I said, you could tone this back a bit on the flip stuff, like, maybe add some additional warriors and cut back on the flips and maybe cut back on a Tsukiyomi and still have the same idea here. But I really want to focus on kind of abusing the Souk with this strategy. And yeah, I just wanted to show this off a little bit. Give it a shot if you're interested. I'll go ahead and put this link in the description of this video so that you can try it out yourself if you want. And that's all I got. Thanks for being here, and until the next one. Bye.